place.
Okay.
And we're
Haley,
back.
you're back. And since we've talked last, you've had a birthday,
You've had
uh,
Christmas.
Christmas, and New
We
Year's.
let go of the puppies.
All of them?
We kept one. So we found two really, really amazing homes, like the best possible homes for the other
Right.
two.
Good.
So that December was a big month.
Which one did you keep?
The golden one, that one looks like a golden Labrador. And he's a very
Yeah.
happy dog. We were just talking last
Good.
night how he's such a happy dog.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
So
great.
life has changed. It's so much better.
It changes every day if we allow it to, you know.
Really does.
That's that's part of what I wanted to talk to you about. To get us going on one topic, and that is that I've uh, received correspondence a few times from a man in Ohio who is gay, Catholic, and uh, married to a man.
Hmm.
He read my book, Prince of a Boy, and he really felt inspired by it and my journey of, accepting being gay and Catholic and my spirituality, etc. But he said he can't do it without the permission of a priest.
Hmm.
It had to be a priest. So I said, okay, uh, every priest he's gone to has condemned him, saying that and that if he doesn't end the marriage, that he's going to that he can't come to the sacraments, which he really, really, really wants to do, right? Confession and the Eucharist.
Hmm.
And so no matter what I wrote, no matter how inspiring or convincing, he had to have the blessing of a priest. So I said to him, well, since you've had so much turned down by priests, how far away can the priest live? And do you need to then drive to his parish? And he said, no, no, no. He said he can be, anywhere, and I'll go back to church. And I said, and what if the bishop disagrees with the priest? He said, well, the priest is enough. So I said, okay. So I went and got help from Dignity USA, which is the gay Catholic organization, and New Ways Ministry, and a gay theologian friend of ours that we have had on the show a couple times, Jason Steitel.
Hmm.
You know, we love Jason Steitel, Jack. And then Father James Martin, who's become this, huge name in the gay Catholic uh, struggle. And he's been an advisor to Pope Francis and Pope Leo
Oh, wow.
on LGBTQ issues. So I said, if this guy's credentials aren't enough, then who's
Really?
are?
Then it's not a
So,
priest we're looking for.
so James, Marianne Duddy Burke at Dignity immediately, after finding out where the guy lives, found two priests in Ohio that would reach out to him, and James Martin, who I copied everybody in on, told me that go ahead and have him contact me directly. Jason said, I'm glad to talk with him, but I knew in advance that even with Jason being a theologian, it wasn't going to be sufficient.
Hmm.
So that's been taken care of. He wrote me and said, thank you very much. I didn't find out who exactly he talked to, but this brought up the really, really important issue for all people, regardless of their sexual orientation, their gender identity, their age, it, beyond all other factors. The question is, who gives you permission for being who you are,
Such a
right?
good question.
It is. And I went and then and I that's what I had written to him, that only you can give yourself permission. That's what my book is about, right?
Hmm.
How I had to learn that lesson. So then I brought in the allegory of Plato about the cave. You're familiar with the
Mhm.
allegory where,
Yep, but please share it because I'm sure there'll be people that don't know it on there.
well, all of these people are chained side by side in a deep cave where there's a fire burning behind them, but the only reality they have ever known are the shadows that they're looking at on the
Mm.
wall. So they've been living in shadows their whole life, chained side by side, not really able to look. And so one guy escapes and he climbs into the light and he's just so happy that he can hear birds sing, right? And smell flowers and see smiles on people because he's never seen these things. A blue sky, clouds, all of that. So he goes back into the cave and said, "You guys won't believe what's out there. You won't believe it." And he tells them everything, and they don't believe him. And he said, "Let me help you. Come on. I'll free you so you don't have to have the rest of your life be in these shadows." And they said, "No, we'd rather live with the reality that we're sure of."
Hmm.
And so he leaves. And so the question again becomes, what does it take you, to leave the shadows? Whose permission do you need, right? People are there to help, but if you don't take their help,
Hmm.
right, y- you're you're not giving yourself permission
Right.
to be unchained. So the question then becomes, okay, what is it that helps us let go of the need for permission by our rabbi, right? Because so many Jewish people, what the rabbi says
Hmm.
goes. That's it. And Catholics or Mormons, uh, people,
Parents.
parents, spouses,
Hmm.
peer group, right? All those things can have,
Bosses.
pardon me, hon?
The boss when your work boss.
Yes, workbox, the laws,
Hmm.
right? Now the laws can control your behavior to a certain point, right? They stop you from driving 100 miles an hour down a pedestrian street. You can do it if you want to, but you're going to pay for it. But you don't have to pay. No one can take away from you the freedom to say, "I love myself."
Hmm.
And I love my identity and I love my sexual orientation. And if it means losing my parents and losing my synagogue and losing my parish, so be it.
Hmm.
Okay? So, how do we help those who are in the cave leave the cave, or can we?
I think we help them by being the example. And I
That's
think
that's exactly what
authenticity.
exactly what Ray said this morning in the pool. He said we have to be the example.
Yeah, I think it comes down to authenticity because I think there's so many influences in this day and age, and there's so much comparison and so much this is what it should look like, this is what you should be doing, and this is how quickly you should be realizing your self love. And I think if you look at those people saying that, they don't really exhibit the definition of what they're talking about. So I think it's being able to have the patience that the right teachers, the right people come along at exactly the right time, and really paying attention to how they're living and the alignment between their words and their actions. And I think it's a very quiet, humbling process on both sides of it because I think the people that are living authentically aren't necessarily shouting at the top of a roof going, look at me, look at me, look at me.
No, then they're not living authentically.
And the people that are looking for those authentic examples aren't really seeking, seeking, seeking. They're kind of just waiting.
Hmm.
So it's this weird paradox of how do those, two forces come together?
Yeah, so much of the Tao is about, if you think you're wise, you're not.
Hmm.
You know, if you think you've got it, you don't.
No.
Uh, and
Every day
but
will show you.
so Haley, let's talk a little bit about, let's give some examples of daily living right now beyond the guy needing the permission of the priest. What are some of the pressures people face today in order to fit in order to be part of the crowd, to have the approval of society? What are some of the conditions that in this time, not 100 years ago, but right now, what are some of the conditions that people face today that they have to decide whether or not they're going to go along with?
I think it's immediately what comes to mind is the definition of success
Good.
and the pressure of what does success look like.
Uh-huh.
And, immediately, if you just look at all of the examples of success, whether it's social media, what's on TV based on what you're watching, what you're seeing when you go to the grocery store, even just if you're driving outside, there's always people in new cars or the new cell phone or very materialistic new stuff. And I think that's one of the biggest pressures is, are you successful in life if you don't have the new cell phone or the latest car? Your car isn't a year old. Are you successful if you're not earning $100,000 already? Are you successful if you don't own your own home? And I think, just those very financial linked pressures are enormous right now. I
Are
think
you
they're
are
heavy.
you successful if you don't have a podcast?
Yeah,
There is, are you successful if you're not an influencer
yeah.
with thousands of you know, I write something which I think is profound, right, on my Facebook page, and maybe we'll get 100, if I'm, maybe. I looked at James Martin, the Jesuit, who he said happy birthday to his mother and got 12,700 likes.
I think it's so,
And
and as we're entering a new year, there is obviously this pressure of you have to be better in some way than the year before. And I think that's good. I think it's always good to aspire to be better than before, whether it's yesterday or a month before or a year before. I think it's always good to aspire to be better. But I think there is this enormous pressure to be better, but there isn't really any good teaching or direction on how to choose what is better. And I think we're so, it's, I heard this on Instagram. I was watching a reel and it was a voiceover of somebody else. And they were saying that we're in a time where we have more memories of other people's lives than our own lives. And I thought that that was very interesting. And I think that, when we're talking about pressures and we're talking about being the example and choosing better, I think it's incredibly difficult to do that when we're so involved in other people's lives.
uh-huh. And I think we set ourselves up for failure when we create expectations that are unreasonable. For instance, when you and I decided to tape these conversations, how many years ago?
It was in
5?
COVID.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
don't remember, like, COVID feels like it was a year or two ago, but I think we're hitting now 4 years.
yeah. But we said we don't care how many people watch. So we never had we didn't set ourselves up for failure by saying that our goal was to be social influencers and seen as such. And that wasn't even on our radar. I've never had on my radar needing a book to be on the New York Times bestseller list. That's never been on my radar. This last book has been really well reviewed, and I'm very happy with that. But I don't feel compelled to write another book that is received even better than that,
Right.
or sells better than the last one. I'm content. Now I may end up doing something, but because I'm not all that old, 78 in
Well, you
January.
have a lot of energy and a lot of wisdom to share. So I think, and I think even there is the pressure, is like sharing your wisdom.
Well, other pressures, and you have different ones, but men are supposed to have great abs today, great abs and great pecs, and if they don't, they're kind of sort of below the grade, right? In every book you read and movies, it's when the guy takes his shirt off that the women and men turn their heads, right? Because he has this allegedly perfect body. Same with teeth. If your teeth aren't
Mhm.
straight and bright white, bright, so bright that when you walk into the room,
Right.
you illuminate the corner that you're standing in. Uh, there are people, myself included, who, are just not going to, I could probably do it if I wanted to, but I'm not going to go that way because it's not important to me.
I think, there's the pressures to look a certain way, which I think has always been, like since magazines probably and television came, I think there's always been a pressure to look a certain way and the competition to be that kind of person. I think, as I said, that's always been around. I think some of the pressures too are, really keeping up with
Is
what's
there
going on in the
is
world.
there a is there a truck in your background? Is there uh
A tree?
no a sound?
Oh, it was a motorbike going.
Oh, sounded like your stomach was growling, so I had to
It was just a motorbike on the street. But what I was saying is that I think the pressure to keep up is whether it's appearances, whether it's success, whether it's just keeping up with what's happening in the world, keeping up with your friends, keeping up with family, I think is enormous. And
yeah.
it's this pressure to be connected, but again, I think the connected isn't really the true definition of connected. It's what it
And
looks like
and
versus what it actually is.
to have the best grades,
Hmm.
the pressure to be at the top of the class.
Yeah, and the best schools, like it's just all what it looks like on the outside.
Hmm.
And I think, when we're talking about being in the example and being in authenticity, it takes a lot of humility, it takes a lot of patience, it takes an enormous amount of courage. But I think you start to, getting better, at least my definition of getting better and better every single year is how well am I doing to step out of that? How well am I doing just to be okay with my little world and to manage my little world, to care for my little world? And I think, even there is another pressure. Like, we're supposed to care so much about so many things.
And yes, but you and I have both had life experiences in which we've left the cave,
Hmm. We'll
right?
come back and lift again.
Yeah, or went into a different part of the cave. I mean, you separating from your mom and dad, that took courage.
Hmm.
You had to give yourself permission to be who you are and let go of the uh, pressure to be who your folks wanted you to be.
Hmm.
And the pressure for permission of parents is really strong.
Yeah. It's a, yeah, dogs. I think, when I look at my life and the permission to be who I am, I'm still learning to give myself permission to be who I am. Every time I learn about myself or every time I repeat a pattern, I'm always just like, this all comes back to you just giving yourself permission to be and being okay with this is what being is. But when it comes to parents, I don't know if you're aware that there's this now trend that they're calling it a trend of people separating from their parents. And it's
Mm.
been on Oprah. Oprah had a very interesting episode about it. And it's very, it's like all the psychologists are now talking about it, and it's a very sort of worrisome trend that these young people are now separating from their parents and bringing up the conversation of you should never separate from your parents, regardless of how bad it is they're your parents. And I think when you start giving yourself permission and you start looking at your parents as just people doing their best, separating the parent out of there, you start to give them permission to be who they are. So, in giving yourself permission to be who you are, you give other people permission to be who they are. And you sort of remove that expectation of, like, well, just because you're my parent, I expect you to do this for me or be this for me. It's just look at,
Or take this from me.
yeah,
Take the
yeah,
abuse and smile.
yeah. And I think that's, it's a really important lesson about permission and about accepting who you are and giving yourself permission to be who you are and live the life that you sort of deeply feel is your life, is to be able to look at other people and give other people the permission to be who they are and just leave it at that.
Leave it at that and possibly leave them at that.
Leave them, yeah. Like, why should other people have to change to fit my expectation of what I think they should be if I'm sitting on the other side going, you should change, like, and I don't need to change. So I think it's a very important lesson, that permission lesson, and that being who you are is a very important lesson in contradictions and a very important lesson in equality.
Recently, Haley, I was interviewed by the Stonewall National Museum. They videotaped this interview, and one of the guys in the audience, a lot of people came to listen, most of them my friends. And one of the guys who is a friend in the audience, who's probably in his late 50s. No, no, he's retired. He's got to be 60. Uh, he said that he was having trouble. I mean, he's married, has got kids, grandkids, but he's got a grandmother that he still hasn't come out to because he thinks that uh, it would kill her. It's not going to kill her, but people think it will at least kill our relationship,
Right.
right? So I said to him, and he said, she's 92. And I said, okay, Greg, but what if she lives to 102, which is entirely possible
Entirely
today?
possible. Hmm.
Are you going to wait 10 more years before you have an authentic relationship with her? I mean, we're the ones to make that judgment, and
Hmm.
all we can do, as you say, is role model, but also ask questions, you know.
Ask uncomfortable, and I think that's where the authenticity and the truth is. You ask uncomfortable questions like, are you going to be comfortable? Like,
Hmm.
tell me more about how you're going to make yourself comfortable. Gabor Mate has a very interesting way of looking at that, and he says that we are ultimately, when we set up these conditions, oh, when she passes, then I'll start living, we're actually getting something out of it. So it's got nothing really to do with them not accepting. It's again being back in the cave and being like, I'm actually really comfortable in my cave.
Yeah, until they die.
Yeah, and then there's
And
just going to be another excuse.
yeah, but if we wait until they die, it's a death wish because every day they live, you can't be free,
Hmm.
right? So you got to understand that.
And it doesn't shift after they die.
What's that?
I waited, I had the death wish where I was just like, when my parents go, life will be easier for me. Like, there will be this miraculous, like, angels singing and, like, all right, now your life is free. It doesn't happen like that.
It didn't happen like
It
that.
didn't. And it's still like, it's easier, but I still have to do me.
Hmm.
I still have to pay attention to me. I still have to take care of me. I still have to be conscious of the patterns within me that still need my effort.
Attention. Yeah.
And I could so easily like be like, well, then I just need to go back into the cave and figure this out until I know what to do and can come back out the cave. Well,
Is
there's
there
all
any
these convenient excuses.
Do you have any consciousness of being in the cave in any aspect of your life right now?
Absolutely. And right now,
Hmm.
I love the cave.
Oh, you do?
Oh, I love the cave. I am a person that is much happier in the cave than being out in the light. I have to push myself out into the light. And I do that every single day with my intention of like, you're gonna live today. You're gonna be present today. Otherwise I would be in the cave every day. I'm very happy in the cave.
Looking at shadows.
I'm very happy in my little in my little dark cave where I control everything and I know exactly how it's going to turn out. I'm happy there. But
Oh.
it's not where I want to be. Like when you know ask when I ask myself what is your definition of living? It's not in the cave. That's just my comfort zone. That's just my excuse to say I'm not going to do this today.
Hmm.
I choose to live every day and I choose to put the effort into you will go and sit down and you will breathe and you will have an intention and connect to that intention. And then when you wait, like come out of meditation, you're going to be happy with what you see
Hmm.
and really push myself to be living.
Maybe for the sake of clarity, um, it's not because we're using the cave as the allegory of living in the shadows and being chained. What you're really describing is withdrawing, not to the shadows so much as withdrawing to your own safe space.
I think it's that, but I also think that it's so the way that I see it, having experienced life in the chain gang, in the cave, and looking at the shadows, there's an ease to that life.
Mm,
There's an ease to that life. There's a lack of responsibility where somebody is you rely on somebody all the time, and if that doesn't happen, then you have a really good blame. You can blame somebody or something. When you come out of the cave and you leave that chain gang, it's all you.
hmm.
You're to blame. You're responsible for yourself. You're responsible for your decisions.
That's right.
So, you know, and I will say that absolutely there are times where I'm just like, oh my God, it was so much easier just to be in that place of just blong, blong, blong.
Go along to get
Go
along.
along without having to think about how am I going to be.
And who am I?
Yeah, and I think, you know, I did that for a long time. I was very happy doing it, but I also realized that there was a part of me that was just like, we can't do this anymore. So could I go back into it? No, no.
Do you need anyone's permission to be who you are today?
Yeah, I'm
Y-
still working on that. I'm
Yeah.
still working on that. I still have a conversation with God or the universe, you know, thinking that that's who sometimes gives me permission. And I have to remember, no, 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 it's all internal. And that's why I think having a daily routine, a ritual to just reconnect into how you're wanting to see things is really important.
Uh, we talk about men having man caves, right? Which is kind of like what you were describing in terms of being surrounded by things that make you feel safe. What are you looking at? Announcement at the top. I see
I
them
have
too, and
my
I see.
Hugo going up the stairs, and I'm like,
You know, right. I,
life
I,
continues, Brian.
Haley, I'm having an interesting life experience that's similar to you talking about going back to the cave, but I don't, for me, I don't see it as a cave. I see it as, well, I have withdrawn a lot from needing to know the news.
Mm,
I, uh, I've also, Haley, withdrawn from needing to be seen and socialize,
hmm.
that I don't feel it's necessary to go to a party that I don't want to go to. Where in the past, I would be aware that my absence would be noted. now I give myself permission to not go,
Yeah.
especially if I can't think of one person I'm looking forward to seeing.
Is that going into the cave?
I don't know, is it? Or is it
I
or is it leaving the cave?
I think that perhaps is leaving the cave and
Yeah.
perhaps choosing a different space that still has comforts. And comfort is a very important word that I'm looking at this month because I'm an introvert. I'm very much like I'm happier at home. I'm happier just one-on-one coffees. I don't need a party. And I realize that social settings I have to drink to be a part of them, and that to me immediately is a red flag.
Yeah.
So I'm just like I'd rather just not do that. I love the deep one-on-one connection, the meaningful conversations, or I'd rather be at home where I can again control my environment, control my comfort zones. And is that being in a cave? I think it's just a different cave, but it has more light. Because I think I'm more connected. The way that I see it is that I'm much more connected and my decisions are much clearer, much more authentic. I'm doing things because, as you're saying, do I really want to do that?
Can I give you an example?
Please.
We have friends that next month are celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Wow.
Eh, Yeah. And they're having a huge party, huge, at a restaurant. And uh, when I've told, which is going to be very, very, very expensive, but they can afford it. Right. Um, we can't afford to do that, and even if we could afford to do it, I wouldn't want to do it.
Right.
I I don't feel like celebrating my 50th anniversary means giving drink and food to all these people who I have tangential relationships with,
I'm
right?
with you.
Yeah. I'd rather take the two closest and go to a movie and then out to dinner. I
Yeah.
seriously, people
And go
say,
to
what?
bed going like, what a great night.
I know. Well, Ray and I, 2 months later, are celebrating our 50th. In May, on May 4th, we celebrate our 50th, and people are asking, well, what are you going to do? And I kind of like a deer in the headlights saying, I don't know. I know there are expectations, and I don't want to disappoint anybody, but I don't really want to entertain others on my 50th.
It's called work.
Oh my God, is it work? And
I
and expense. And what's the reward from it? I mean, Ray and I have been out in the spotlight as a gay couple for all 50 of the years. I mean, because I was known before he and I got together. And then I kept getting more and more publicity as, our time went on. So, and everything I wrote, Ray was part of what I wrote. So we were a couple and people have followed us as a couple. When people come to town, they say, I'd love to get together with you and Ray for dinner. Well, Ray wants no part of it. He didn't know who
raise
this
my
person.
spirit animal.
Yeah, he knows he doesn't know this person, and he knows that if we go to dinner, the person's just going to want to talk to me. He's not going to, it doesn't have a connection with Ray. So why would Ray want to go to that, right? And people get disappointed. Why? I don't understand why. What have I done wrong? You haven't done anything wrong. You just don't know him. And you don't even know me.
Right.
But I'm willing to go for coffee, right?
I like coffee because it's short.
Yeah. Well, I can't, yeah, there's a limit to it,
There's a
right?
limit to it before you start like spazzing out on
Yeah.
caffeine. But this definition of work, I started redefining work last year. I think we spoke about this, with the puppies and what work meant to me. And I'm very much getting to the space where I'm just like, if it's work that feels like my energy is going to be depleted afterwards, it's a hard no.
Hmm.
It's a hard no. If it is something where I'm like, right, there's going to be a little bit of effort, but A, I'm going to enjoy that effort.
Hmm.
And then I feel like afterwards I'm going to feel really inspired and energetic. I'm all that's a good yes. And I just find most of the time, for me at least, when it involves more than four people, it's work.
Uh-huh.
It's work.
Socially or
Socially, because
yeah,
I think too, I tend to take, and this is also part of my lesson for this lifetime, is that I tend to take responsibility for the entire space.
uh-huh, me too.
So if there's one person or five people, I'm still really paying attention to every part of that space and
Yeah,
who's, is that person feeling included? Are they feeling excluded?
yeah, me too.
Is that person hijacking and trying to just manage all of the different personalities? It's a lot.
And is there somebody at the table who's offensive,
Mm-hmm.
who's making other people uncomfortable? And if so, how do I take care of that? I
Yeah.
mean, even if it's not my party,
I'm,
right?
and I've, that to me, for me, I'm like, this is me overstepping my bounds.
Right.
So it's the same as like until I've learned how to let go of that completely, which it's a lot of work. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
but
work to
I
let go of
want to
it
take
completely because I feel such a responsibility.
I want to protect the people who are being
Mhm.
offended, right?
Yeah, always the underdog, always the
Right.
underdog.
Yeah. And how can I intercede here? Change the direction of the conversation, bring the person in the spotlight, right? So that they
Yeah.
feel, oh, somebody sees me here. You know, I'm not being left and go home thinking, I wish I had never gone to that. I was miserable the whole night.
But I noticed that like a lot of the times I went out and I would get home and I'd just be like, I hated every part of that. And
Yeah.
I really had to work so nobody would see that.
Hmm.
So I just at this point now I'm just like, no,
And when you left the party or the restaurant, it didn't end for you.
it didn't die.
No, because you're laying in bed at night thinking it through over and over and over again. What I should have said, next time I'm not going.
Yeah.
You know,
And you wake
uh,
up exhausted. It's just
yes, 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 and then it impacts everyone you work with the next day.
exactly. So I think, when we're talking about caves and comfort zones, I think we shift comfort zones, but I think our presence in that comfort zone and our responsibility in that comfort zone changes. And, are some people could easily say that you're just reshackling yourself to these new rules. And I'm like, I get that. It can look like that. But at the end of the day, I feel like I'm taking a far greater responsibility for my presence. And I'm not like just puking that on other people to solve. And that, the people that mean a lot to me and I mean a lot to them, they they know, excuse the dogs.
No,
They
it's
know me
fine.
now where they don't even ask me to go out. They're like, can we do coffee with you? And I'm like, let's do coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, people know that we don't invite us to something that starts at 7 o'clock.
Oh, don't. Like after five, it's like, no.
Don't
And
even
I think,
call it, don't call after 5.
like even after five, I feel like the type of people that are out after five is different. Like
Yeah.
people that have energy after 5 o'clock are different. And I sometimes don't feel safe around that kind of person. I feel much calmer, much safer with daytime people.
Well, I also feel more comfortable with people who are uh, not inclined to get drunk
Mm-hmm.
uh, because it ruins the evening or the moment for me. I'm not talking to the same person. And from the moment the drinks start, I think, oh gosh, why do we need this?
Well, I think when you come back to authenticity, if you're out in a setting that has alcohol, your intention is not to meet people, your intention is to drink.
Well, the first question is, where's the bar?
And I think I just like, why even talk to me? Because I know that you're not really here. You're really paying attention to your drink. You're really paying attention to, do I need to get another drink? How many people are at the bar? Should I go start lining up at the bar? So, I don't know if it's called alcoholism, but both my parents drank a lot. My father was definitely an alcoholic, and I'm very conscious of checking myself for alcoholism. And I realized that it's not necessarily a fear of the alcohol, it's just the truth of what's really going on in the situation. You're
Hmm.
not looking to connect. You're not looking to be with other people. You're looking for alcohol. You're looking for the escape. And I'm not the person to talk to when you're looking for escapes. Because it will be those hard questions of like, well, when is enough enough?
Right. Yeah, yeah. We're not particularly fun people to talk to if the person is high.
It's, and it's interesting because just this week, Hugo, my partner, got invited to go and play pool. And he used to play pool before me. And then since me, like, neither one of us go out alone at night. If we go out, it's once or twice a year and we're together and we come home together. And it really shook me. He was like, yeah, I'm going out to play pool. And I'm like, why? And he's like, I'm going out to play pool because I haven't played pool in forever and I want to hang out with my friend. I'm like, why don't you go to lunch? Or why do you have to go and play pool? And it was this again, exactly what we're talking about is, are you playing pool or are you just there for the reason to drink again? Because pool and drinking go together.
Did you have that conversation?
We did. And we have very interesting conversations because even though we grew up on different parts of the world, we have similar backgrounds because his father's an alcoholic. And he was like, we were having this very interesting conversation about like, are you going for the pool? Are you going for your friend? Or are you going for the alcohol? And we both like, I was like, if that was me and what it looks like to me, it's a let me go drink and have a let loose drinking. And maybe we'll play pool.
Uh-huh.
And he saw it the same way. He was just like, I'm like, if it's about playing pool, then why don't you play pool at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon? And he's like, because it's not good to drink at one. I'm like, well,
He said that?
yeah. And I was just like, did you
Oh.
just hear yourself? And he's just like, oh my God, it's totally a drinking thing. And then he was like, so
Good for both of you.
does this mean that we can't go out and drink? And I'm like, I think we have to like step back and like sit with each situation and be like, all right, what's the point here? Because I do think, going back on this, things that happen after dark primarily involve some kind of substance.
Hmm.
And it's just for me, when we're talking about coming out of the cave and staying out of that cave, it's being present.
And I think the substance makes the cave tolerable.
It does. It gives you an excuse to say, I'm okay here.
And I don't need permission to do
Mhm. Look
anything
at me
else.
being a rebel,
Yeah,
taking substances.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
And then questioning the friendship with each of the people. Do you really, really like so and so? Do you really want to spend time with them, or is it convenient because they want to play pool and they also drink beer?
yeah, like, and I think, it raises such a question about the whole being in the cave and what entails being in the cave, which is this escapism to continue the comfort. And I say that with confidence because I was in the cave. I did all of this. And having like done it and been on the other side of it and being like, well, actually now I choose differently. I worked corporate where Wednesday nights was like, let's go out as quickly as possible, like counting down the clock. Is it 5 o'clock? Is it time to be in the bar? And,
Hmm.
Wednesday happy hour, which was like buy one, get one free or half off. It was all about just drinking and it was all about, everybody partying. And the next day we all talked about the people that were drunk. There was no friendship.
Yeah.
There was no concern for who's driving drunk or, hey, you've had 2 drinks, you shouldn't drive. It was
Uh-huh.
all, if you're still walking, you're okay to drive.
Yeah.
And I
And you're not my responsibility.
Yeah, and I think, when you pull it all the way back to being the example and actually aligning words and actions, you mean something to me. I want my time with you to be pure, and I want you to have all of me, and I want to speak to you and have the pure you. Doing that with somebody who's drinking, or if I was drinking and you're just sitting there watching me, that doesn't feel real.
Can I go back a minute to the discussion about who gives Haley permission
Mm,
to leave the cave? And you initially said that the first thing that came to mind for you was uh, your spirituality and whether, the higher power, and then you realize the higher power is in you. Are there any people in your life that you feel you need permission from in order to be yourself?
yeah. I say this because having just come through Christmas where I felt like I had like the permission to be me came from Hugo's family.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a very interesting Christmas because I felt like going into a different culture, going into a different family that even though they're so very kind, still aren't my family. They're his family. I felt like there was a lot of permission like can I do this now? Can I be me now? Can I exhale now?
and how long did it take you to give yourself permission to do those things?
It took me literally crashing out.
Did it?
It did. It took me literally not being able to function before I was like, I have to leave and I have to go and take time alone right now. And I
Uh-huh.
took like 4 hours alone and came back and I was 100% better. I was like, okay, I'm back. I can be a part of this now. But I think again, to be really honest, the permission thing isn't just the one time where you choose to choose yourself and live your life, whether you're coming out of the closet because you're gay or you're coming out of the closet because you're choosing that you don't want to be who your parents want you to be. It's continual, throughout your life where you realize you
Mhm.
have these weird slips of permission and you get to look at them and you get to be like, oh wow, like why am I still doing that?
I keep coming back to myself, and this is perhaps part of aging, is that I'm the only one. I mean, Ray and I are so tied, like, we're just really one soul in many
Mm-hmm.
ways. If he dies before me, um, I'll survive, but I won't be the same person.
Right.
Um, so beyond him, uh, I'm learning, I've learned to trust myself. Uh, I'm constantly dealing with new things that pop into my head, judgments, dramas. They're not new to my life, but they're just new dramas
Mm-hmm.
and new judgments. And but Haley, as we said earlier, I'm giving myself permission to not go to something I don't want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been giving my permission to myself to not write. I
It's
didn't, I
huge.
for the longest time, I haven't had a muse. I haven't had anything that stimulated me. And I felt guilty because I wasn't posting on Facebook. I felt I had a responsibility to post on Facebook, but a limited number of people follow me, and they expect something from me
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook. And so that was hanging over my head. But I thought, if it's not there, it's not there. Don't try to force it. I write a column, but they've gotten used to the fact that it's not going to be necessarily a weekly, monthly. I mean, it'll
Yeah.
come, it'll come in when it comes in.
I think that takes enormous courage too, to just be in the right timing of things. I
Yes.
write when I feel inspired to write. And being okay with what you're doing when you're not writing.
Hmm.
And that very much resonates because that is part of my what I'm trying to do this year is just to enjoy time and to be okay with, all right, if I'm not writing or if I'm not doing a conversation with you, if I'm not doing a client, giving myself permission to enjoy the time without sort of that guilt of it should look like this or you should be doing this. And I think that's part of, 2026 as a whole is very much a much softer year, inviting us to really give ourselves permission to trust the timing. And that takes enormous courage too, to be okay with what the timing is.
It's also time, Haley, and I don't know your perspective on this, but for me, I thought that after the election that I would just ride through it. It's going to
Mm.
end. You can't do much harm, But I'm sort of in shock. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me how much the world is changing because of one person's ego. And uh, uh, I'm not so nonchalant about survival. I mean, I know that there have been much worse people in history and that they have done much more harm, but I didn't happen to live, at least to my awareness.
Hmm.
I didn't happen to live at that time. I live now, and my message has been to myself and to others, focus on love, focus on kindness, and I do that, but I every day I keep feeling a little more outraged. I don't know, and I don't know
I,
what to do with the fear. I mean, there's real fear, not for
I,
me.
I think, there is, it's so weird because it is that fear now isn't just contained in the US, and it's now because literally every country now is being threatened. Like he's threatening to
Absolutely, Mexico
blow
is
up
threatened.
Mexico now. And that puts me like, I'm like, whoa, I came here to escape you.
Yes.
And I think it's, ultimately because I feel that fear too. And I have very much limited my social media. I deleted probably around 300 different people or outlets that I follow just because I don't have control. If they're in my phone, I'm going to pay attention to it. So I deleted them out and I'm paying much more attention to what's putting me in that place of fear. And I think for me, it's that coming back to don't go back into the cave. Enjoy your time. If you only
Hmm.
have a day, enjoy today.
That's right.
If everything just blows up and everything just sucks tomorrow, that's tomorrow. I'll figure it out
And
tomorrow.
we have no control over it. We have control over how we respond to it.
Yeah, and I think we have to have some faith in good because then we're
Oh
just
yeah.
like everything that we hate. So I have faith that there will be some control, even though I don't know what it is now, or we may not see it right now. There will be some control that comes in, and enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think what startled me the most is not so much the behavior of the president and his posse, but of other world leaders and judges. I mean, all these people who I thought would stop what's going on aren't.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid. Uh, they're afraid of him. They're afraid of what's going to happen to their country. It's almost like Star Wars, you know. They want to be part of the rebellion, but they don't have the size weapons the Empire has.
I, but I also think there is hope. There's some younger leaders coming up that they're definitely not the majority just yet, but they're definitely coming up and they're having an enormous amount of courage to say things. And I think this isn't going to change because of people in power. This is going to change because of the individuals and the individuals getting behind something that is more loving, something that is more kind. And I know that sounds really care bearish, but I think that's what's going to happen. And it works. It worked in New York, it worked in Holland, in the Netherlands. It's worked in, Finland. It's working somewhat in Denmark. It's working in some countries where people support a certain idealism, and it's working. So I think perhaps the line of enough is when enough people at the individual level, without the power of a government or a presidency or a prime minister, get together and say enough is enough. And I think the world will look different after that. Will the
Well, it goes
US still
back.
be the states of the US? I don't know. There might be different countries.
Oh, listen, if it went on, if there was another term, because after the midterms, it's going to be a very different power
Mhm.
balance.
And
But
I do hold out a lot of hope on the midterms. I'm really holding out.
yeah, we all are. We-
I'm
Um,
really hoping that there's a shift, that that's enough.
yeah. And if not the midterms, then the next presidential. But going full circle to this priest who, or to this person who needed only the blessing of the priest. In the situation we've just been discussing, whose blessing are we waiting on uh, to get us through this?
Ours.
Yes. And
Our decision.
that's the point of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's always been the point.
How
All of the
we look at
spiritual,
this, how we behave, it's 100% our control, our power, our decision.
and that's what all revered spiritual leaders have told us,
Hmm.
right? They've bucked the system. They stood up against the high priests, against those who they thought everyone thought their authority came from. No, the authority comes from us,
Hmm.
right? Whether we choose to continue having a podcast, it's up to us. It's not up to Donald Trump, right? Although someday I may call you and say, Haley, where are you? Are you still among the living? Since we've taken over Mexico and
Since it is the world of the
you're
USA.
considered an immigrant.
I
I
let's I can only hope that there will be some that it's not even hope. Like, I do believe that good always prevails. I do believe that authentic love always prevails, and it's stronger than anything else. So yeah, I think it's going, things will be different because they have to be different. The how
uh-huh.
we got here was not good.
Haley, I know we have to wind up, but you say uh, I feel all of these things. And
Hmm.
as you were saying it, uh, what I feel you and I truly mean is I know,
Yeah,
not
I
I
feel it in
feel.
my body, like I feel it in my heart.
You, you know it because you've experienced it and you've made
Hmm.
decisions on your own how to get out of the cave,
Hmm. Yeah,
how to see other than shadows.
and it's not easy, but it is beautiful.
Oh, it is beautiful, and
And it's
at
just
the end of
so
your
much
life.
better.
Pardon, honey?
The people are so much better.
Uh-huh.
The connections are so much better. It's just, I don't know.
There's a great payoff.
There is.
That's the thing we try to communicate is that if you decide that you're the sole source of permission for being who you are, there's a big payoff.
There is, and I think that payoff is peace. It's not
It
money.
is.
It's
No.
not like significance. It's just peace.
And trust in yourself.
Yeah.
It's an awareness of who you are in the world and how you're coming to terms with that you know that it's a global consciousness, but that your piece, and you can't control the rest, but you want to be a piece that's adding to that consciousness
Right.
that
For
that
good.
is empowering,
Yeah.
right?
I want to be the example of inspiration.
Yes.
Good. The example of living a life of peace and love.
As we say every morning, you know, prayer of Francis, make me a channel of your peace.
Hmm. That's all. That's the money. That's
Hmm.
the currency. And I think
It is.
it's non-negotiable. If you mess with my peace, you're out. We're not going to be
Well,
hanging out again.
if you mess with my peace, we need to have a discussion
Hmm.
because I need to know why you need to mess with my peace. What are you getting out of it?
I don't even. I'm just like I'm done. Yeah, I'm like if you're messing with my peace, we're not meant to hang out together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm hanging up.
Yeah, I'm like you can call, but nobody's going to pick up. And on that note, Brian, I will always pick up because you greatly expand my peace, and that is all that I'm looking for as 2026 is the expansion of peace.
Yeah, yep. Love and peace.
Thank you for being with me
You,
again today and starting
yes.
off a new year together.
Isn't that fun?
Isn't it? Isn't it
Yeah.
incredible?
And I'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
All right, honey.
What can we get up to in 2 weeks?
Love you.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye-bye.